Board meeting. We appreciate your attendance and are glad you're willing to spend some time here with us tonight. We're going to begin tonight with a musical performance from the South Ogden Junior High Advanced Orchestra. They will be performing Agincourt, and it's directed by Mr. Taylor Van Bibber. Go ahead. Thank you. Thank you. Very well done. We appreciate you coming in and sharing that talent with us. Great job. If it wasn't such a long meeting, I would share a story about me playing the cello for about 5 minutes, but we'll go there another night. Let's go with the Pledge of Allegiance. Emma Robinson, please. Thank you, Emma. We'll give them just a minute to clear here. As they're walking out, let's give them one more big hand. They've done a great job. Continuing on with our agenda, board, you've had an opportunity to look through the consent calendar, and I would look for a motion to approve that calendar. Doug, a second. John, any dialogue anybody has on that? Wonderful. All those who can vote in favor of that, an aye, please.
Aye.
Any nays? Thank you. Let's move on to our next agenda item. Our recognitions. Would you like to take this? Okay, wonderful. Superintendent Butters, go ahead.
Great. What a great night this is going to be. We celebrate our finest. We're going to start with Mary Jo Williams, who will be acknowledging our wonderful one of our first year teacher awards.
Superintendent Butters, Board President Widdowson, and Board, I'm very honored to have the opportunity to present to you the Elementary First Year Teacher of the Year Award to Lavina Winkelcotter, also known as Miss Wink by the staff and the students at North Park Elementary. Lavina, are you here? Why don't you come up here with me? So as you can see by the picture, she is just one of the most positive people I have ever met. And as I talked to all her students to get information about her, the first thing I said was, what can you tell me about your teacher? And it was unanimously, she's nice or she's kind. So I think you're going to see this reflected in the PowerPoint we have to share with you. Outside her door, this hangs, which is Miss Wink's mission statement. My mission is to empower my students to unlock their potential. I know that each of my students is capable of incredible achievement. I will work hard to provide each student with the supports they need to grow. I am dedicated to continue my own learning and to grow as a teacher. And we should probably mention that she does teach second grade. Jared Abney, the principal at North Park Elementary, stated, Ms. Winkelcotter's students are eager to learn from her because of the relationship she has built with them. Some other thoughts from Mr. Abney. She has high rates of student engagement, an ideal positive to corrective ratio. She's masterful at using her attention as a reinforcer. Students react quickly to the positive attention she gives them, and she also exhibits teacher awareness, which means she can do multiple things at one time. So not only do her students think she is nice, she is also a highly effective teacher. Her middle of year Acadience reading data shows that Ms. Winkelcotter's class has 17 of the 22 students at typical or above typical progress. So here are some of the things her students said. Riker, she helps me learn how to stop a landslide. Amari, she wants us to be the smartest people in the world. Kai, I like that she makes math funner and easier. Asden, when something is not fair, she tries to make it fair. Katai, I get stressed sometimes and teacher helps me by doing positive reinforcement. And I said to him, what is positive reinforcement? Well, I might not be able to do it yet, but I will be able to. And then Lucy says, we use math number lines and a tens and ones chart. I'm not sure why we keep. So these are just some things outside of her in her classroom that lets you know, once again, she cares deeply about her students. And I asked for some of her colleagues to share some thoughts with me, and they are so happy to have her at North Park. Peggy Pearson. Lavinia is an outstanding teacher, colleague, and friend to the profession. She tutors students before school, during lunch, and after school. She lets her students know that she cares for them and that they can do great things. She's a great team member and works well with staff, parents, and community members. I have seen her blossom this year and is very deserving of Teacher of the Year award. We are so happy to have you here at North Park. Mikkel Gurney. When she picks up her students in the morning, recess, or lunch, she has a huge smile on her face and sings a song with them to get ready to go in the hall. You can see how much she loves teaching, and all of her students can feel the love she has for them. She also happily took on the extra responsibility of being the lower grade ed tech coach and has excelled at it. Being a first-year teacher can be tricky and time-consuming, but she was willing to help North Park in any way possible. She is an amazing addition to our school and makes it a better place. There is no one more deserving of this award, and we are so proud to call her our co-worker at North Park. And another one from Sarah Lynch. I've been coaching Lavina this year, and it's been a wonderful experience. She loves feedback and would always improve in the areas in which goals were set. Lavina is a learner and loves challenges. She always has a smile and an encouraging word for those she passes. She has wonderful skills in so many areas, and I believe a very promising career loving and working with children. So we just want to say congratulations on being named Elementary First Year Teacher of the Year. Okay, I'm going to let her introduce a few people.
Okay, my second grade team is here. Rebecca Bloom, Holly DeJarnett, and Beth Ann Minke, and my principal, Jared Abney. And they're all wonderful, and I've learned so much from them.
While the board's acknowledging Lavina, I just wanted to make sure we gave a shout out to our foundation board. They provide a pretty substantial cash award for our winners tonight, and so we want to make sure we give them a shout out. Thanks to Emily Euler and the foundation. All right, we'd ask Rod Belknap. Rod, would you come on up, and we're going to honor a second first-year teacher tonight.
Check. Superintendent Butters and President Widdowson, board, grateful for the opportunity to recognize a fantastic teacher here tonight. This is Jaron Sever. If I could just have Jaron come on up, that'd be great to have him. Everybody give him a round of applause on his way. Jaron is what you would call the old-fashioned shop teacher at Rocky Mountain. He's a tech ed teacher and brilliant. one of the smartest people I've ever come across, and it's a real honor to be able to recognize Jaron today. And I want to use, I'm a Lord of the Rings fan, so we'll just go ahead and use Gandalf the Great as our premise tonight as we talk about Jaron, because some of the quotes that I feel like are a part of this represent his journey and what he has to offer the profession of teaching. So I'm calling, if Gandalf the Grey is something, then I'm calling Jaron the Jovial, because he's really happy. You can see by that smile. I love the quote that is up there: "A wizard is never late, nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to." Because Jaron's path to education was not a linear one. He did other things along the way. He was in search of his life's purpose, I guess you could say. And as he went from opportunity to opportunity, he was great at whatever he did, but it seemed like it was something that he couldn't quite find. That's why the quote, "Not all those who wander are lost." This is an individual who was never lost. This is a person who knew exactly where he wanted to be, and when he found it, he felt at home. He acquired all kinds of skills leading up to it. He worked construction and did a bunch of other things that we've been able to leverage in his role there as a teacher at Rocky Mountain, and it's made him fantastic at what he does. But he also knew he was a phenomenal student in engineering with one of our other first-year teacher recipients, Aaron Yates, at Roy High School, that the world is not in your maps and books, it's out there. So as he graduated, he was still looking for that place that felt like home, and what he really wanted to do is make a difference in kids' lives. And so honestly, after spending just a few minutes with Jaron, there was no question in my mind that he had found the place that he was meant to be. And it's just been such an honor to hear some of the cool things. I mean, you can see by the pictures there with those students how happy they are to be in his class, how glad they are to be a part of what he does. I can't even tell you how much they want to be in his class. I mean, they're volunteering to be in classes that he doesn't teach yet. But we love the fact that Jaron is who he is. These are some of the things that his students said about him. He loves to teach. He's funny. He listens. He made a wood basket at the Christmas Jubilee. He has a great attitude. He's nice. He's always willing to help students he's concerned about. Awesome teacher. Teaches us all how to use all these machines. If you've been in a wood shop, there's like 15 or 20 completely different machines. And if you've ever tried to teach a 7th grader or an 8th grader, really just to where the bathroom's at, it's not easy. And he does it with complicated machines. So it's really a skill that he has to be that patient. I love the quote, he's chill. Great teacher who doesn't do it for us, he teaches us how. And then finally, Mr. Sever is really smart, but doesn't act like it. And I took that as a real compliment, you know. So yeah, it's a compliment. Some of his projects are so cool. You go around the room and you see like the CO2 cars, and you see some of the projects that he's worked on with students. They were making cutting boards in there and all kinds of things that were complicated. But one of the ones that I'll talk about later was a ring. Jaron, I love Mr. Craner's comment to remarks there. Jaron has taken over the shop classes and created a fun and inviting atmosphere. He is genuinely concerned about kids and consistently talking about students and what he can do to try to make a connection with them. Jaron's been a breath of fresh air to our CT department. He's really someone special for our district to have. And it's really in the small things that he does. This is why the quote by Gandalf there, it is the small things, everyday deeds of ordinary folk that keeps the darkness at bay, simple acts of kindness and love. And this is exactly what he does. He pulls kids aside. He talks to them about things. He makes meaningful connections with them that some people might miss. But he is keenly aware of the students that need this, and he is able to make that connection at the right time, at the right place. They even helped him make a cornhole game up there, which is really cool. So his students love him. He feels a sense of urgency about his job. He really knows that this is an opportunity, a window to be able to connect with kids. And he's passionate about making that connection and a greater purpose someone could not feel toward education. He truly feels like this is his calling. This is something that he can do to make the world a better place and to make an impact on students. And that's an appropriate quote for Jaron. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. He never misses a minute to make a connection or to make a difference in students' lives. So that's why it was not easy to put Jaron's face on Gandalf. But we did it. And so the last picture showed a picture of what they were making, and this is why in my moment in that shop, I was like, what are you making today? And all the kids held up, including my own daughter, held up a ring that they were making. And so that's why I say, congratulations to Jaron Sever, the real Lord of the Rings. I'll let him introduce who's here with him tonight. Jaron.
Yeah, I just want to let me shout out to a few special people in my life, and I'd just like to say that amazing. Truly, I think all of us can accomplish great things if we believe and if we have the right support behind us. And I can gladly say that I have the right support behind me. And I'd like to call out my sweet wife, my dear mother, and my 2 children. They're here with me today. And he asked me not to.
Wave high so we can see where you're at.
They're clear at the back.
Thank you.
But also my principal and vice principal, he told me not to highlight him, but I can't say how much of a support they have been for me. I have such a passion for this, and it brings me to tears a little bit because they have been supportive of me from the beginning. So shout out to Brett and to Carrie because they have been a support for me from the beginning, and I truly believe that we can go forward and all of us can be Lord of the Rings, I guess. Thank you.
Mr. Quinn Carlinzi, why don't you come on down? He's going to honor our first-year Special Educator of the Year.
There we go. Superintendent Butters and board, thank you for this opportunity. It is my pleasure to present to you Kimberly Foote as the first-year Teacher of the Year recipient for special education. So let's give her a round of applause, and we'll get her up here with me. I first met Kimberly when she was a student teacher at Birch Creek Elementary. It did not take long to recognize there was something special about her. It was immediately felt and known, and everybody around her knew the same thing. And so she earned herself an early contract with the district, and it didn't take her long to find a job at Uinta Elementary, where she currently serves as a resource teacher for the littles. So As part of this process, the candidates have to go through an interview, and I wasn't able to go to the interview. I was out of town, and so I asked Juliana Woodbury to stand in for me, and I said, Juliana, take some notes and tell me what stands out to you. And these are her notes, that it was apparent through the interview process that Kimberly has a passion for individuals with disabilities. She has a volunteer service on her resume like no other. She's loyal to Weber School District. She loves seeing the students' confidence increase, and that she can do hard things mentally, and not only herself, but she preaches this to her students as well. I'm going to touch on a few of these things through the presentation. A little bit about Mrs. Foote is I told you she has some volunteer experience. She has been with Gigi's Playhouse for over 10 years on the board of directors. And I look at her right now and I go, 10 years ago she was probably 8. I don't know the math there. But she started as a young age volunteering, and that is a place where students or individuals with Down syndrome and other disabilities learn to be their very best. And so she is passionate about that, and her dedication to these students with disabilities started at a very young age. She loves to travel. She loves to play pickleball. She loves to paint. She loves to crochet. She loves her husband, who is pictured here. Her husband is a special ed teacher in Ogden School District. For now, I'm working on him, but they are a family of educators, and we love having both of them in the world of special education. Reached out to Uinta Elementary, who I know very well, as I was the principal there for years, and they had amazing things to say about her. And as the emails started coming in, I'd cut and paste it on the slide, and then the font had to go smaller and smaller, and then it just gets to a point where there's just too much information. So there's about 10 more of these sitting in my inbox, but I'll just read a couple. The staff there say that she is a delight to work with. She's always positive and enthusiastic. Professionally, she is very helpful and considerate. When she needs to collect data on a student, she asks us what would work for us, and then creates the chart, not putting one more thing on the gen ed teachers, which is a fabulous thing. She's great to brainstorm with and try to think of new strategies in the classroom. She's great with the students. She really likes her and know that she cares about them. She checks in at the beginning of each day with one of my students that has graduated from their social skills class to provide the support this student needs to succeed during the school day. Again, graduated, not on the IEP, not her problem, still her problem. She still cares enough about them to check. And then on the last one, I couldn't think of a more well-deserving teacher to receive this award. Kimberly is a true professional. She always has her ducks in a row when speaking to me, a parent, or the students. She is amazing at explaining the IEP paperwork and making it easy to understand for parents and for teachers. She is very caring and wonderful to the students. She thoroughly enjoys going to her room. At the same time, they are learning and growing. We need more Mrs. Foots in our profession. I think it should be Mrs. Feet, but I was educated in Willard, so I'm not really sure. But we need more Mrs. Foots in our profession. The students, you turn your attention to the students and it just gets funny. These kiddos, their comments, she helps me read the words that I can't read. She's very helpful. She is cool. She is nice. I like her for being her, and she is super kind and helps us to be learnful. We still have work to do, but it's okay. They are awesome. When we went to present her with the award at the school, the second picture, you can see a young lady in pink. And as Superintendent Butters reached down to engage with them and ask what they loved about their teacher, Superintendent Butters spoke to the young man first, and that little girl couldn't stay in her chair. She wanted to say what she had to say about her teacher, and when it came her time, she just lit up. And when I called her mom to talk to her about the experience, her mom said, "Doesn't surprise me a bit. She talks about Mrs. Foote all the time, loves her and adores her." You can see her engaging with the students on a daily basis. That last picture on the right, I just want to kind of talk about that. I asked about those faces. This little kindergartner, as they check in and check out of class, they touch how they're feeling on the wall, so that she has something to talk to them about and some help to give. This student, every day as she walks out of that room, she gives a little hop, step, jump, slaps the top one and leaves, and they're so happy when they leave their room. She spoke about a group of students, girls, that maybe have a little bit of drama going on, and when they come into the room, their hand usually goes down low. and she points out that that she can talk to them, and she points to the board above in the third picture. It's hard to see. It says "Because Nice Matters," and she used that as a talking point with her students to help them process the feelings they're having and to have a better day. So with that, we want to say congratulations, Kimberly, on all your success. Thank you so much for what you do for our students in Weber School District, and congratulations.
Thank you so much. I just wanted to give a shout out to my husband, Ben. He really is my rock and my support. And my family also drove up from Layton, so I was really surprised and happy to see them here. I'm so honored to receive this award and so blessed to work in Weber School District and have so much support behind me, not only at my school, Uinta Elementary, but on a district level as well. So thank you so very much.
All right, a couple last very important, prestigious awards here tonight. Could we have Mr. Dave Hills come up to introduce our Classified Employee of the Year for Weber School District?
Superintendent Butters, President Widdison, and board. This is an exciting opportunity. I've been waiting for some time, actually, to introduce this man to you. I'm going to test the clicker. Here we go. Mr. Alan Faulkner, could you please come on over, dear friend? I have to say, before we actually officially begin, this young man and I became friends many, many years ago. We became acquainted when I was the principal at Majestic Elementary, and he was our head custodian. And I have to say something before we begin, because this is him for sure, right? A school well cared for provides a foundation for so much good to happen. And there isn't anyone in the district that can do it better than Mr. Faulkner. So, with that being said, dear friend, are you ready? I asked him about his family. Alan smiled. We were sitting in two chairs side by side. Alan smiled, and he said, "Oh, Dave," he said, "these are the ones that matter most." He said, "Best friend in the whole wide world, Shauna," upper right-hand corner. And then we're coming to the bottom in just a second, but he said, "Also, my daughter, Tara, librarian at South Ogden Junior High, Daniel from Powell, Wyoming, and Spencer from North Ogden, Utah. He loves his family." And then with another big smile, look at the bottom right-hand corner. He has some of them with him. "A variety of ages," he said. 5 grandchildren, 2 have graduated, 3 in school, and, proudly, 1 on the way May 15th. Right, Grandpa? Right on. Career highlights. I was excited to learn that Alan had actually been a coach before beginning his career officially with Weber School District. He had coached both at Walquist and Fremont 4 years each. Even worked with Larry Hadley for a while at Fremont. He was a Walquist junior head baseball coach from 98 to 2002, and then from 2002 to 06, he was the Fremont High assistant baseball coach. and then began his career with Weber School District officially. 2006 started with Weber as an assistant custodian at Weber High School, thank you. And then 6 years with the amazing Majestic Elementary. He became a friend to that faculty and staff. You'll find in just a moment that wherever he goes, the same thing happens. He moved 6 years later and has been now for 9 years, since 2014, the Two Rivers head custodian. Total years so far in Weber School District, 17. If we count the coach years, it's even more, right? I asked him, I said, how does it feel to be named the Classified Employee of the Year? There's Alan and Amy, who will be up next in just a moment. He said, I am honored, but I'm just doing my job, Dave. He's a humble man. He said, I am very grateful, though, that they would nominate me. There are so many other employees who work so hard, too. He said, I'm glad to serve. I'm willing to do whatever it takes to get this done. I try to be approachable, and I'm just honored to be here tonight. Then he was asked, what is the most rewarding part of your job? Doing my job the way it should be done, Dave. Being recognized by the staff and administrators for taking care of the school. I'm always appreciative when Terry tells me the school looks good. What I do reflects on everyone. I feel like my work affects us all. Now this one is kind of fun. There was a twinkle in his eye when we had this conversation, and the twinkle in his eye has specific meaning in just a moment. He said, you know, being the older fellow that I am, I have a very important assignment at Christmas time, right? And I see a smile right there from your colleague, right? He said, you know, I'm Santa Claus for the child care classes at Two Rivers. I get to take pictures with the families and children. Here he is. And then he said, I'm so careful. Some of the children are so small, right? And he said, I get to work with Amy Anderson, and I love it. The Santa assignment has one more twinkle in his eye moment. I kind of enjoyed this. You notice the faculty member there on Santa's lap. He said, I did have to take this assignment fairly seriously this year, as several members received a lump of coal. He said, I did comfort them and told them to try harder next year. You got to know, sense of humor. That came up in everything that his colleagues were sending in. This was one of my favorites, what the students shared. Check this out. Annabelle said, he takes the time to talk to me. He calls me a student of the year, and it makes me smile. Alea, he cleans things up for us no matter what. He is awesome. Keenan, Alan is a perfect example of acting out of love. He is always hustling to get the job done, as he is the only custodian in the building cleaning up after a bunch of teenage kids. Brinkley, Alan is the most amazing custodian. He stays on the job and gets it done. He goes above and beyond and does his best cleaning. Board, he deserves a raise. You better find Brinkley. The staff. Now, Alan, I have to. I'll share with you a spreadsheet of comment after comment after comment. I selected these. Yeah, I did. Alan inspires our faculty every day. He works very hard and has a rigorous and consistent schedule of how he does things. He knows everyone well and what their habits are. He takes pride in his work, and it's hard to get any messes by him. You can ask him for anything, and he will drop what he's doing to make sure you get what you need. He rarely takes any time off and is here every holiday. I have worked in 5 schools. I have not met a better or more committed custodian. This winter was brutal, we all remember. But Alan always had the walks cleared and the building ready to go in the mornings. On stormy days, he was here hours early to make sure the school was safe for everyone. And finally, I do have to tell you that Alan is a little bit shy in terms of the picture department. I was even stalking him this morning trying to get a few pictures, and he was moving through the parking lot, so I couldn't get to him. Work ethic. This guy never just sits down. He's always working. He has a wicked sense of humor. Do not let him fool you. And then finally from Terry Spires and Christy Hawes. Alan has a gift for building relationships and adding to a positive work environment. He takes on responsibilities that most people don't even see. Now listen, this is kind of an amazing thing. He doesn't just have one building. Not only do we house Two Rivers, but also Horizon Academy, New Pathways, Adult Ed, Child Nutrition, Home and Hospital, and the folks over facilities. He never complains. He is one of the hardest working, honest individuals we have ever had the privilege of working with. So, dear friends, congratulations, Alan Faulkner, Classified Employee of the Year. Alan has a special guest. Would you like to introduce?
Sure. Hey, just to let you know, I wished I had Dave's enthusiasm. He's quite a guy. It's been a great opportunity to work with him over the years. But I'm sure the person he's talking about is what I'd like to say is, I don't know why I'm getting so choked up about my best fan, which is my wife. And she's my biggest support group, and I appreciate her being here tonight and supporting me. Also want to thank the lovely staff from, well, I want to call it the clown show. And what I'm talking about, if we have our two admins, please stand up. And the first thing you're going to look at is my mug shot on the front. The only good thing about that is that by the time they run away from that, they won't see Amy on the back. So I want to thank Terry and Christy for nominating me for this award. I appreciate it. Checks in the mail. But, you know, it's an honor to represent the classified employees. There's a ton of them in this district, and to be nominated and represent them, I just, you know, I know there's probably more worthy candidates, but, you know, I'm honored for the opportunity. So thank you. So thank you tonight for everything, and for I noticed we do have some other staff members out there, Katie and Derek from Two Rivers, and also Amy's being here, and she's well worthy of her gift also, award she's going to be getting, and also Nicole being here, also part of the Two Rivers family, so thank you.
Maybe one should face the wall, Lane, so we can see the back. There you go. Now,
All right. Last but certainly not least, we'd like to honor our Teacher of the Year for Weber School District, and we will turn the time to Clyde Moore.
Not many times I can say that. President Widdowson, Board, Superintendent Butters, it's my honor to recognize our Teacher of the Year for 2023. Amy, will you come up? First of all, I want to say congratulations to the other recognitions that we shared tonight. We're so lucky in this district to have great teachers, educators Alan, that includes you. Okay, you're part of that team. So this is great. Amy Anderson. Amy is at Two Rivers also. Two Rivers well represented tonight. We should kind of tell you what great staff they have out there at that school. Tell you a little bit about Amy. First of all, she's great. She's a great human. Amy met her husband at Weber State University when they both was attending school there. They have 3 children, Emily, Nathan, and Preston, and they all attended Roy High School, so they're Weber School District students. All 3 also served a mission, with Preston coming home in how many days? 9. I knew she would know that. 9 days, so moms count, right? So. Amy, she taught in the Ogden District for 8 years before coming, kind of like me, seeing the light and moving to the Weber District. Okay, in the past 16 years, I'm sorry. The light's coming your way though, so hang in there. In the past 16 years at Two Rivers, she's been teaching financial literacy and the Teaching the Young Mothers program, as well as a class they call Trust. And the Trust class is a class to help incoming students to Two Rivers get adjusted to the alternative school setting. Some of the things Amy do in that class is she get the kids caught up on their credit for graduation. She also get them out in the community, as well as taking them out to the OWTC to get them acquainted with the programs offered there. So she's doing a lot of things. Before I move any further, I want to say Amy is being recognized tonight, though, for being the teacher in the Young Mothers program. Some comments and some things that Amy, she's inspired. She inspires people. She touched people, and you're going to see this in this presentation. I don't know if she's back from changing her shirt, but Assistant Principal Christy Hawes made these comments about Amy. She said, every student in the building is hers. She networks with other teachers to help students in all of their classes. She has literally changed the course of so many kids' life. I'm going to skip a little bit. Don't want to read every slide there. So Jennifer Stone, an English teacher, says she knows her students and their family, their needs and their dreams, and she helped them reach them. Tristan Covington, a teacher, said Amy treat her young mothers with the level of care and consideration which many of them tragically is unaccustomed to in their personal life. She leads by example when it comes to showing them how to nurture and mold a developing mind. Amy exceeds expectations. Not that the expectation is low, but when you hear these comments, you're going to know Amy's expectation is really high for her students. One of the teachers commented that she makes an appointment at specialists in Salt Lake City for the students and the baby to go down for care. Another, Joel Roberts, a counselor, said a student had just had her baby and was struggling to graduate. Amy brought assignments, food, and baby supplies to her. The student graduated because of Amy's extraordinary effort. Michelle Larson, Amy makes sure the student feel loved and appreciated, and she makes sure they have access to what the baby's needs also. Another teacher comment, a student was having health problems, and Amy made sure the student had medical and emotional support. This is where Amy go over and above in some of these areas. Amy enlists the community to come and teach her young parents. She helped them access resources like CHIP, food pantries, workforce services, OTEC, scholarships, and more. That's exceeding expectations. Talking to Amy, I went out and did a little interview with Amy after I knew she was going to win this award. So I was sitting in the hallways talking, and it didn't take me long to realize that Amy had a lot of Amy-isms. Okay, and she just, she kept bringing them up as we talked. So I asked Amy, give me one of your most rewarding moments working here, being a teacher and educator at Two Rivers, and she said her most rewarding moment at Two Rivers is when she observed her students change their trajectory for their lives. She constantly reminded her students that you can choose what your life would be, and I think this is important. I want you to take a close look at this picture. We're going to come and talk about these pictures here in a second. Amy also changes destiny. I talked to some of her students that day I was out there. Kalia said, Amy is caring, helpful, and very nice. She has impacted my life by helping me through my pregnancy and education, even when I didn't want to. Alyssa said, Amy is such a caring person. She affected my life by helping me graduate. And Samantha, Amy is kind, and I'm grateful she is helping me to keep going to school even though I'm pregnant. This is a comment or quote that Terry Spires, the principal, made when I read her nomination letter. And when I read this, it reminded me of the poem, The Starfish, and most of you probably heard of that poem where an old man was walking down the beach and he noticed this young boy, little kid, really throwing starfish back out in the ocean. And the wave was washing them back further out in the ocean. And the older man asked the young boy, he said, what are you doing? He said, I'm saving these starfish. I'm throwing them back out so they can live. And the old man looked down the beach and said, there's miles of beach here. You're not making a difference. And the little boy picked up a starfish and threw it back out in the ocean. He said, I made a difference to that one. That's Amy, okay? It matters for that one, and that's the approach she made. But I want you to keep in mind of her assignment. She's teaching the young mothers, and this is what Terry Spires, the principal, said about Amy. So Amy truly is the center of all good things happening at Two Rivers. She takes our young parents under her wings and mentor them. We all go into education with the hope of changing the life of our students. Amy is not changing the lives of our young parents. She also changing generations of life. I'm gonna go back to that picture there. Take a look at that picture. That's a young mother graduating, but look down beneath her. That's her daughter in a graduation gown. That's the difference that Amy is making. We all benefiting from what Amy done. So I want to congratulate Amy Anderson on being recognized as a Teacher of the Year in the Weber School District. Congratulations.
Okay, first of all, I have my husband here who drove up just this afternoon. He was down conducting his own retreat conference and training with his folks at work and left them behind to join us. I think it was the promise for some food after. I don't know what it was, but yeah, he joined us. And my parents, parents that taught me to always do the right thing, to work hard and to serve. That's something they taught all of us. And our oldest child, Emily, that makes the world think that we're good parents. I don't know, but she makes us all look good. And then, of course, my coworkers back here, and Christy and Terry. Did you switch your shirts around? Did we get to look at your back? Please, that picture is terrible, but thank you. I am so honored to accept this award. I've been very privileged to work in very unique circumstances throughout my career. Worked at the women's shelter, taught adult ed there, loved it. Walked away from that, retired from teaching at that point. And then I received a letter from the state of Utah saying, hey, all you teachers out there who have expired licenses, we need teachers. I thought I could do that. That sounds, if I found the right situation. And I saw the position at Two Rivers teaching part-time financial literacy, and I said, I'm going back. It changed from one day to the next. I wasn't going to teach again till I'm going back, and I've loved every minute at Two Rivers. And I didn't recognize Nicole Mibus. She was my partner in crime, bringing the young parent program back to Two Rivers. We had a fun summer that year trying to get it coming back, but I've been very fortunate to work among some amazing educators and humbled that I'm the one that's honored, even though they are so amazing.
Terry, did you change those in the hall? That's not legal.
Well, great board. I say this emphatically and with complete confidence. A little bit of feistiness. We have the absolute best employees in the world, and we are so grateful for all that they do. And congratulations to those of you that were honored tonight. Well deserved.
Back to you, Superintendent.
Oh boy, I'm talking too much tonight. We have just a couple of items of business. Board, as you recall, last month we made our administrative appointments for the next school year, and right after we got that completed and got your approval, we had a little snafu arise. One of our principals, elementary principals, that we adore, is Spencer Oakey. Spencer was offered a job outside of education, and he accepted that job. We wish him nothing but the best, but that necessitated that we make a quick pivot. And so tonight we're going to introduce our plan to you to address that situation and ask for your support in a couple of recommendations. We have appointed Karen Miller, who was named to be an elementary intern this year, to be the principal of Orchard Springs to replace Spencer Oakey. And let me tell you a little bit. Karen, why don't you come up first of all? We'll have Karen stand right here. She's going to set the record for being the shortest serving intern maybe in our district. She has a little bit of whiplash tonight, but Karen's ready. Let me tell you a little bit about Karen. She earned her Utah State University Bachelor's of Science in Business Education. She has a master's in psychology with an emphasis in school counseling. She is almost done with her educational leadership certification. She's been in the biz for 22 years. She has taught in a variety of settings, which I believe she'll bring all of that experience to leverage in this new role. She's been a business teacher at North Ogden Junior and Sandridge. She's been an adult education teacher, business and marketing teacher at Two Rivers. She's been a counselor in our district at North Ogden Elementary and a counselor at Orion Junior High School. And then most recently, she has served as a coordinator in 2 of our departments here at the district level, both in student services and in educational equity. Karen has a rich, wide variety of experiences that she'll bring to bear in that great community out north. She has 5 wonderful adult children and 8 even more wonderful grandchildren. And we just want to welcome Karen. And why don't we do this, if we could. Board, could we go ahead, if you're okay? I want to tell you a little bit about her. If we could go ahead and seek your approval on this appointment, and then we'll circle back and have Karen address the board.
Board, we've heard this administrative appointment. I would look for a motion to accept that appointment. Bruce, second. Jan. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any negative? Thank you.
Congratulations, Karen. Karen, we'll turn some time to you.
Superintendent Butters, President Whittison, and board members, thank you very much for that vote of confidence. When I was walking up, John Ritchie was kind of shaking his head like this, so I was a little nervous.
We almost lost you, remember a couple years ago when you were
Yes,
going to leave?
I was almost went south, but this is the best place to work, and I'm really grateful to be here. I appreciate all the opportunities I've had. I do have a really unique skill set, and I'm looking forward to being an Orchard Springs owl. So, and I brought with me today, I have my sister, my ride or die all the time. My mom, who's an elementary educator, and in the car tonight, we were reminiscing on some of her memories of being an elementary educator. My daughter Alice, my daughter Jocelyn, and my granddaughter Greta. And I've got kids that are watching in Denver, Phoenix, and St. George. So thank you.
Thanks, Karen. Karen's move to Orchard Springs necessitates that we name another elementary intern. Can I have Angie Snowden come on down? Angie, welcome. Board, we'll just repeat that process if that's okay. I'll tell you a little bit about her. She is a graduate of Weber State University. She received her BS degree in elementary and special education, a composite. She graduated from Western Governors University with a master's in technology and learning and received her educational leadership license from SUU. She's been in education for 20 years. She's worked as a special education paraprofessional, playground aide, 4th grade teacher, and is currently serving as a Title I coordinator for us. Her husband is Scott Snowden. They have 6 children, 11 grandchildren who have been her best cheerleaders. Welcome. Before we have you introduce your group and address the board president, could I turn that to you?
Sure, board, we've heard this latest administrative appointment. I would be open for a motion to approve that. Janice, second Jan. Any discussion on that? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Oh, we're having that.
Where'd Clyde go?
Thank you. Superintendent Butters, Board President Whittison, and Board, thank you so much. My heart is full of gratitude tonight. I have had the distinct privilege of working with some of the finest educators and students in Weber School District, and I have gleaned a lot from them in my experience and along my journey. I am grateful for this opportunity to serve in this capacity. I do want to say one thing. I actually started as a parent volunteer, and Cami Alexander was the administrator at my kiddo's school, when she walked down the hall and said, "Hey, are you interested in a 2-hour position?" And that's what started my love in education, and I was hooked. So Cami Alexander is here. Thank you so much. I have my biggest supporter, my husband Scott, who has just cheered me on. We have 2 of our kiddos here. My oldest daughter Jody and her husband Jeremy, and the 3 kiddos, and my oldest son Ryan and his wife Sarah, and one of our youngest grandkiddos, and then my administrator Katie and our administrative intern Renelle.
Congratulations. Welcome.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Should we keep moving, President? Keep moving. Okay. I'm going to ask one of our great directors to come forward. Sherry Hyder, would you come on down? Sherry is going to present board some data that we have compiled, that she has compiled expertly, to illustrate some feedback that we have solicited and received from our teachers and our patrons, our parents. When the new superintendency came into our roles, one of the things that we really tried to do, board, as you recall, is to hold what are called listening sessions. We met with every employee group in our district, and one of the themes that came out of those listening sessions was we need more time with our children, especially post-pandemic. We need more time with them in the classroom and instructionally, and helping them with some of the things that they need coming out of a pandemic. And our teachers also have expressed to us, especially in the secondary level, the need for more time to collaborate around some of the unique situations that we're dealing with post-pandemic. So we took it to the patrons. We asked for their feedback, and I'm going to have Sherry kind of synthesize that information in that survey that we sent out.
Great, thank you, Superintendent, President Whittison, and Board. As you know, a couple of weeks ago, we sent out a survey to all of our patrons, parents, guardians, and then all of our educators as well. So today we're going to kind of look at the results of that and see what was kind of said. So we had 1,281 responses from our educators, which interestingly represents about 75% of our educators. So with survey design and survey responses, that's an incredibly high number. So there was some passionate feelings about the right way to maybe move forward in their opinion. Parents and guardians, about 3,905 responses. It was a slightly lower response rate there, but the survey was open for about 10 days, and I think we got some really great data back from it. This was the question that was on there. Basically, we were looking at ways to make sure that students had high-quality educational experiences in the classroom. We understand that that additional 20 minutes per day, adding up to 100 minutes per week, could really be valuable in supporting our students' learning as we move forward out of the pandemic now. The other piece to this, as Superintendent Butters alluded to, looking at that sustained collaboration for our folks, not only in elementary with those Wednesdays, but also in secondary with some early outs as well. Basically, what this does is it moves our schedule back to the way it was pre-pandemic, okay? So the choice was looking at our two schedules proposed. Elementary, starting time at 8:30, ending at about 3:10. Of course, there will be a little bit of variability with busing schedules and so forth, but pretty close to this. And then early outs each Wednesday at 1:10 p.m. Secondary would be 7:45 start time, ending at 2:30, and guaranteed 2 early outs per month on Wednesdays. So that will be nice to align those Wednesday early outs in both the elementary and the secondary. And that would be at 12:15 p.m. As we got the data back, the top one there is, I don't really have a strong feeling either way. Interestingly enough, those were so close to one another, both running at about 23%. I don't support a change. 24% for our educators represented in that light blue color, and the community members about 25%. And as we look at, I would support the above described change in schedule. 52, almost 53% of our educators and nearly 52% of our community said I would support. So when you look at it in an aggregate, 75% of our community members, parents and guardians, said that when they responded, they either said that they would support the change in the schedule, or they weren't really having any strong feelings either way. 76% of our educators who responded either supported the change or didn't have a significant opinion either way. So 75%, 76%, pretty close both ways. So we would like to come forward with a proposal that we change these schedules as detailed in that second slide to begin during the 2023-2024 school year, and we would present that word for your approval. As there's any questions, Brock and Mary Jo can answer things specific to the schools, but anything around the survey.
Oh, I just have a question. So especially on the secondary level, with those 2 early outs a month, it still brings us to that 100 extra minutes, even with those extra time? Okay. And then I just wanted to make the comment with the administrators and teachers that I've spoken to, they all felt that 20 minutes that was supposed to be, where we moved, at least like at the secondary, went from 7:40 to 8, it didn't really give teachers any time to collaborate, and I know that was a huge issue with teachers, was on those early outs, it will actually give them time to collaborate, where that 20 extra minutes was pretty much doing nothing.
You're exactly right.
PLC.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
And most of the parents, I think, are fine to go back, like that I've spoken to, we're happy to go back to the old schedule.
Brock, anything you want to speak to where that's concerned? Okay. Okay. Perfect.
Any other comments? I would look for a motion to accept the proposed change in the school schedule. Kelly and Janice is a second. All in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks, Sherry.
Thank you, Sherry. Thank you, board.
Okay, we need to move on now to some revised policy reviews. Heidi Alder, please.
Just a couple.
Good evening, board, President Widdowson, Superintendent. We'll move through these quickly. We do have 5 policies that we are presenting to the board on first reading. We addressed these in the study session just prior to the board meeting, and so we had a lot of really good discussion about it. I'll explain the changes made to the policies, and we'll just go through them one at a time. We'll start with policy 1130. This policy is about board meetings. The policy includes the same definitions that have been in existing policy with some modifications and formatting. And also some updates to the policy that have been changed in the law over the past 15, 20 years. Additionally, we added another section to this policy that outlined the parameters for accepting public comment at board meeting. The section that discusses those parameters is section 5 of this policy, and the section outlines some procedural requirements and then some guidelines for the board to review and to accept public comment. Any questions or discussions about, I guess that's not my question to ask, sorry, President.
No.
Thank
you.
She's just trying
It would probably run smoother if you just done it.
No. You go ahead. We will present this to the board on first reading.
Thank you. Board, any comments on that first reading? Janice?
I was very appreciative of the fact of visiting with council, and she assured me that the sign-ons on the district website will be very obvious, so that people won't have to search it out, or it'll jump, and that'll make it easier for them to sign up.
Very good. Any other comments? I would look, board, I would look for a motion then to approve the revised policy 1130 board meetings in its first reading. Bruce, a second. Jan, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Next one.
The next policy is policy 4160, which is about residency and enrollment. This is a policy that had been presented to the board about 3 years ago, and we're just updating it slightly. The changes and the amendments that we're presenting to the board tonight on first reading begin in section Roman numeral 4. We have another standalone policy that speaks to entrance age for enrollment. And it made sense as we were going through all of our policies and doing a comprehensive review of the policies to incorporate that policy, which is rather short and limited to just a discussion of age entry, into this policy, which is all about enrollment. And so we would incorporate what was policy 4140 into this policy and then repeal policy 4140. Also, we did add a section, Roman numeral 5, that outlines for the public what kinds of documents can be presented to registrars when they're enrolling their students for the first time to demonstrate proof of residency. It's a practice that we've been employing within our district for years and years, and we thought it would be a good idea to articulate that in the policy. And then last change to this policy, in order to align our practices with what we have written in policy, we had a separate section about how we treat students who live in the policy where their parent or legal guardian lives outside of the country. We have treated these situations the same way we treat situations where the parent or legal guardian lives outside the state, but the student is living in our district with a relative, typically an aunt or an uncle, grandparent. They go through an out-of-state boundary committee, and we do that the same whether the parent and guardian is living out of the country or out of the state. So we just struck that separate section about situations where parents live out of the country because it's not necessary and there's no distinction in the way we treat these situations. With that, we would submit to the board approval of policy 4160 with its changes on first reading.
Thank you. Board, are there any comments on policy 4160? If not, I would look for a motion to approve that. John and Jan, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. We're moving through these.
So
Right.
nice that these are becoming so much clearer, Heidi. Thank you so much.
Good. The idea is to clean things up, to update them, to make sure that we are compliant with law and also our practice. The next policy is policy 4372. This policy was discussed also in study session. This is specifically about graduation opportunities for students who are here as a foreign exchange student. And our practice and our policy has always been to allow those students to have a one-year educational opportunity, but not to award those students with graduation and high school diplomas because they haven't met the graduation requirements that are established in our state board rule and policy. The board suggested in our study session to combine this policy, which is 4372, with policy 4370, which is our overall policy about graduation. It just made sense to have our graduation policy encompass this small section. And so while currently we have this standalone 4372 that's been revised, we would submit on second reading a combination which just incorporates this policy into the next policy, but the substantive information that's presented in this policy 4372 would not change. And so we would submit that the policy 4372, the substance of that policy, be approved by the board on first reading.
Thanks, Heidi. Board, any comments on that? I would look for a motion then to approve the revised policy 4372 on the first reading.
So moved.
Jan, Bruce, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you. Thanks, Heidi.
Two more.
There we go.
Sorry. Policy 5220 is our student dress code policy. This policy has been in the works for quite some time. We've been working with community members, with administrators, with parents to try to come up with a comprehensive and consistent dress code policy. Currently, our schools are creating dress code policies that at times conflict with our district dress code policy and aren't necessarily consistent with each other. And so we thought it prudent to come together and have one dress code policy that all administrators can learn, can train their staff on, and can follow. And so those are the changes in policy 5220. And I would submit policy 5220 to the board on first reading.
Thank you. Any comments on 5220?
I have a comment. I just wanted to say, first of all, how appreciative I am for the overhaul of this policy. I think parents will appreciate it. I think it's great for all the schools to be aligned. I know that Brock and Matt have done a lot of work on this policy, also working with all of our secondary administrators. And what I appreciated in some of those meetings was those administrators working together to understand each other's perspectives on some of these dress code changes and what has worked at one school, and helping to other administrators come on board with some of those things that maybe they thought weren't going to work out. Also, I still work with a couple of the PTAs in my kids' schools, and starting back at the beginning of the year, those principals came to the PTAs asking for parent input. So I think we've worked with parent groups, so I think it's been really well vetted, and so I just wanted to thank Brock and Matt and all of our secondary administrators for all the hard work on it. My daughter is excited for the new dress code policy.
Thanks, Kelly. I would accept a motion to approve policy 5220, student dress and grooming standards on the first reading. Kelly and Janice, second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay,
Heidi.
last one. This is policy 7135. It's a human resource policy. This policy addresses some changes that were made to the State Board of Education regulations. Prior to the changes made in the State Board rule, educators on LEA-specific licenses were given a 3-year period, after which time the State Board of Education would not renew an LEA-specific license. Now, the State Board has changed its rule to allow the State Board to renew an LEA-specific license on a case-by-case basis for as long as the employee applies. And we determined it necessary to limit the salary increase for individuals who have not achieved the next level, which is an associate level license, after having 3 years opportunity to go from an LEA specific license to an associate level license. If they haven't achieved that associate level license in 3 years, this policy change would freeze their salary. The individual would still be allowed to work for the district until 5 years, and if they haven't achieved the next level of licensing after 5 years, that individual would be non-renewed. So those are the changes in policy 7135. And I would submit those changes to the board upon first reading.
Thank you. Board, I would look, any comments on that 7135? I would look for a motion to approve the revised policy 7135 LEA-specific teacher licensing on the first reading. Please, Jan, and a second by Janice. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for all your hard work, Heidi. We appreciate it.
Last one.
Are you sure we don't have something else before Matt?
Okay, we would like to discuss a consideration of a resolution approving the organization of a local building authority. Dr. Peterson.
Thank you, President. As we discussed in board study session, we are in need of adding another tool to our toolbox to help us with financial issues that could or will arise when it comes to the construction of new schools and projects. Our district is one of the few districts that has not formed a local building authority, and it's a legal procedure outlined in statute and allowed by the state. And we propose that the board approve this this resolution to adopt and provide for a local building authority and related matters. We also have Mr. Matt Dugdale from Stiefel and Company. He is the expert, and so if you have any really technical questions, he is the guy to ask. But we covered pretty much everything in the study session, and we also have a handout that was distributed in the study session as well. This will be it's a two-board process, so next month at our budget hearing meeting in June, we will then organize the building authority, provided you approve of the building authority.
Thanks, Dr. Peterson. Any discussion needed on this board? We had a pretty good discussion earlier. Okay, I would look for a motion to approve the consideration of a resolution approving the organization of the local building authority of Weber School District, Utah, and providing for related matters.
So moved.
John, and second by Doug. All in favor?
We need a roll call vote.
Okay.
Yeah, so when I call your name, say yes or no. Kelly Larson.
Yes.
Jan Burrell.
Yes.
Bruce Jardine.
Yes.
Janice Christensen. Yes. Douglas Hurst.
Yes.
John Ritchie.
Yes.
And Paul Whittison.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Peterson. That concludes this portion of the meeting. We have a need to go into closed session to discuss the sale of some real property, imminent litigation, or the character, professional competence, or physical or mental health of an individual. And we'll turn some time over to Dr. Peterson for the roll call vote on that.
Good. This is a motion to go. Do we need a motion first? A motion and then a second, and then we do the roll call vote.
I would look for a motion to go to closed session, Jan, and second by Bruce. All in favor?
Then the roll call vote.
Okay.
Kelly Larson.
Yes.
Jan Burrell.
Yes.
Bruce Jardine.
Yes.
Janice Christensen. Doug Hurst. Yes. John Ritchie.
Yes.
Paul Whittison.
Yes.
Very good.
Thanks. Thanks, everyone.